Hi, I'm Shilpa.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Stef, and I'm a Childline counsellor.
And this week we're talking about coping with self-harm. So we want to talk to you guys a little bit today about what you think self-harm is.
I see it as a way of turning something non-physical in your mind or something that you feel into something physical that you can sort of have more control over. There's different ways that people do this, and some include sort of physically injuring themselves, or some include sort of depriving themselves of things they might need, making themselves ill.
It can be a form of self-punishment as well. You feel guilty about something, you want to sort of hurt yourself to cope with those painful emotions.
Sometimes that can be a reaction to something really difficult that's happened in your life, even things that are out of your control.
I know people who have gone through things where something's happened to them that they entirely blame them on themselves, and I know, and everyone around them knows, that it's not their fault at all, and they use that as a way of, like you were saying, punishing themselves.
Most of the time there is a bigger underlying issue that they're struggling to cope with. Just saying, hello, I'm struggling, that can sometimes be really huge for people who are self-harming.
There can be that misconception that maybe people are doing it for the wrong reasons.
Firstly, I don't think there's ever a wrong reason, because even if the massive stigma behind it is people think that they'll be told they're doing it for attention, even if they were doing it for attention, that still suggests that there's some deficit in their life that needs to be filled.
It's really important for people to realise that it can happen to anybody, and it is a behavioural response to something. By continually doing it, by repeating the behaviour, you feel like it's more difficult to stop.
Are there any things that you could suggest as a first step, maybe?
I did a video called To People Who Are Self-Harming with a few other friends, and we did a thing called Cut Cake. You had 7 letters and you wrote them on sort of a wrist or an arm or wherever you wanted to stop self-harming, and you tried to get to the end of that week, and if you did, then you got your treat, and if you didn't, that's not that you've not failed at it, you just try again. The first 3 days, and then by extension the first 7 days, were the hardest days to stop anything addictive at all.
Even if you don't get through to 7 days, you can start all over again, and you are rewarding yourself for doing something positive and taking those first few steps.
Some young people like to draw, like to listen to music. It could just be going for a walk, or it could just be something as simple as, controlling your breathing. Lots of young people that I've spoken to certainly have said, oh, I tried the butterfly project, or I've tried these techniques, and I made a promise and I couldn't stick to it. It's completely normal to have relapses. You're not a failure.
What we don't want people to feel is that they're getting into that cycle of kind of failure and then kind of blaming yourself for not achieving something.
Anything can trigger an emotion. Seeing someone's face, seeing a place. Once that trigger happens, it can almost escalate very, very quickly. And sometimes it's difficult to notice what those triggers might be because they're so, they can be really vague.
Talking can be a really, really good release, but often people do feel scared because maybe they won't be understood.
One of the big things about talking to someone like a friend or like a teacher or a parent is that's going to have social implications, and calling Childline has no social implications. You can delete the number off your phone if you want to. The person on the other end is their job to just be compassionate and talk to you.
When young people call Childline, sometimes they don't say anything and we just stay in silence. Counsellors reassure them that somebody is at the end of the line, and when they are ready, they can say something, and if they don't feel ready, they can hang up and come back. It's just sort of being able to perhaps put a little bit of trust in something or someone and seeing where that goes.
If you were to tell your parents and maybe you didn't get the reaction that you wanted, how can you deal with that?
The first thing to sort of remember, I think, is that your parents are human as well, and they've brought up this small human that they made, and that human has told them that they're not happy, and they may do things like saying things like, how could you do this to me, or whatever. But that's all that is it's an emotional response from an emotional human being who just wants you to be happy.
Educate them. Tell them if you when you feel ready to. Tell them about what it's really like for you.
Is there any advice you could give a friend that's trying to support someone?
You will try and give them advice, and they will likely not be able to execute that advice. That doesn't make them a bad friend. It doesn't make you a bad friend. It doesn't make you rubbish at giving advice. It just means that for now, your friend just needs you to listen to them and be there for them and not desert them. Keep giving them advice that you know is right, and keep trying to encourage them. They may not take it, but the fact that you're giving it is everything to them.
Just listen. Just you know, even if you don't know what to say, be with that person. Really take it in. You know, be with their silences, be with their anger, with their frustration, with their sadness, whatever they might bring.
We really like you guys to join in the conversation as well. How could you help someone cope with self-harm? Thanks for being so honest and open. It's brilliant.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.